never sing. I should hesitate. Yes, Earth, Wind and Fire forever. Hi, welcome to Dr. Mix. How you guys doing? Are you okay? I hope you enjoyed my stellar performance. Man, Earth, Wind and Fire, so much to learn. Check them out if you haven't. I mean, of course, you guys are clever. You know who the Earth, Wind and Fire are. I can move on to say hi and welcome to the next episode of Questions and Music. I am going to take your questions. I also would like to say, if you have more questions, please leave them in the comments of this video because it makes it easier for me to find them. So I'm gonna start with the first one. Synth Hunter, who asks, "Hey Doc, will you sell me the broken AX73? I can't because it's not mine. It belongs to the lovely Martinique people. Although I had to buy another one, they both belong to them. I'm gonna have to give both of them up. But I really like them. You know what? That dynamic control that they have, I mean, it's like a Juno 6 with dynamic control." Next, Gapster77. "Dude, what happened to this thing? We need a Commodore 64 update. I know. I suffer a lot internally. Sorry, I really didn't have time to tackle that. It's still there, it's still in great shape, it's still in great health. Let me show it to you. It's here, right? It's here. Oh, by the way, look how clean my studio looks. It's super clean. Computer, turn Studio C on. Look, super clean. I know, spoiler alert, I'm doing something with this room. Computer, turn Studio B on. There it is. That's the AX73, right here. Studio looks good, doesn't it? Nice and clean. I'm super happy. I digress. Let me go back. So yeah, the Commodore 64 is there. I'm gonna do it soon, I promise. I promise, Gapster. Next, CP Snake Music asks, "What year and make is your Rhodes? I've always wondered, it seems to have the top of a Mark II or III made around 1980, but usually those have the model printed above the keys, which I don't see on yours." I understand the question. I don't know. I don't know what year it is. I will give you my thoughts on a Rhodes. So this one is definitely a Mark II. The reason why I like the Mark II over the Mark I, of which I've owned two, is that the Mark II seems to be a lot more awake than the Mark I. The Mark I is really mellow. You can modify it and give it the bells-like type of sound, but I don't really like that sound too much. I think that the Rhodes Mark II is a lot more dynamic. I had this one prepared around 3 years ago. It's in good shape. I've calibrated the way that I like it. The way I look at Rhodes pianos, you go from the Mark I, which is the more mellow, the more round, to the Mark IV, V, the one that Chick Corea used with the electric band, which is like super, it's active. I think that's it sounds like super ready for battle, like super aggressive, super tight, super brilliant. To me, that is a tiny bit too much. I rather go for somewhere in between. My favorite Rhodes sound is probably Herbie Hancock. That's my aesthetic sense of how the Rhodes should sound. There is an interesting thing that I do. So when I play it with a band, I keep the treble control, bass control in the center so that when I play in this area, it doesn't work against the bass, because if I do that, it becomes a lot deeper, right? When I play it solo, then I use it deeper with all the bass up. See, without it, with it, you know, it's the difference between this and this. You know, you can even go lower. You know, it becomes really small down there. So maybe it's good for playing it in a band, but when it's solo and when I'm playing by myself, I do that. Next, let's see. Tony Lancer asks, in your very illustrious life, thank you so much, you've seen synths grow and become more complex. I have. What keyboards, EMU racks, M1, D50, Motif, etc. made you go, I want this, I need to save up and get this? All of them. All of them. The thing that they don't tell you when you first get into synthesizers is that your first synthesizer is not going to be your only synthesizer. Because I desired all of them. My first synthesizer, as you know, I often showed it on this channel, is that Krummer Stratus, which was bought by my parents. My second synthesizer was a D50. And then I only started getting more synthesizers when I started working in the recording studio when I was about 16. My first session was when I was about 14, I think. Then I started making some money for myself and I started saving up. And I did save up for the Emax, remember, the sampler. I didn't have the M1, I had the T3. So I saved up for that. And then it happens all the times, man. You see a synthesizer, you want it, you love it. The Motif, I had the Motif, brilliant synthesizer, loved it. The first that made me go, I want to get it, probably was the Emax that I bought with my own money. Next, Soul Machine asks, could you sample your upright and make an instrument and show the process? I could. Would I though? I'm not sure if I would, because it's really complicated to sample an instrument as complex as the piano, because you have to do multi-samples. I've participated to the sampling of a piano instrument. It's no walk in the park. It's tough. It requires a lot of time. Plus, you know, they make already great virtual pianos that, you know, it would be really hard to compete with anyone in this field. But maybe for the sakes of it, I could do it at some point. Let me see the piano that I usually use. The Grandeur. These guys did a great job. I really like this one. I'm gonna play it for you, because otherwise it's just questions and no music. What was that? It just came out. But yeah, I mean, listen to this piano, man. It's so great. You know, how can I even go close with my lovely Yamaha Yux, which is like a U3, but you know, it's... Congratulations to Native Instruments. Next, Joji Bear 50,000. Your Nexus 3 Gem was very refreshing. What about hands on Avenger? I put my hands on Avenger. Jean-Michel Jarre Oxygen. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Don't worry, you can find it there. I recreated that theme partially using Avenger or using just Avenger. I can't remember. Super powerful synth. If you want to see me in action on an Avenger, you can check out that video. Next, Radius Entertainment asks, you said you use the piano to study. What are you studying right now? What do I study right now? I study Hanon. And if you asked me the same question 1 year ago, it would have been the same answer. If you asked me the same question 30 years ago, it would have been the same answer, because this is like going to the gym. I don't know if you ever played Hanon. Basically, it's like exercises of this kind. You go. What I do is a trick that my trumpet player, Quentin Collins, brilliant trumpet player and even more scary pianist, he taught me this secret. You have to do Hanon in different keys. One of my favorite keys to play the Hanon in is the minor major key. So if this is C major, and this is C minor, right? Now this is minor major. Right? So that same exercise that usually goes, now it becomes, it is a little bit advanced. Obviously, the book becomes harder and harder and harder. This is something that you can do. Of course, you gotta learn how to read music. You don't know how to read music? I'll tell you an interesting way. It's Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community where millions come to learn and empower their creative minds. With thousands of inspiring classes on topics including illustration, graphic design, video, and obviously music. Skillshare is a great place to explore your creativity. In fact, I recently appreciated Music Theory Comprehensive Part 1, How to Read Music by Jason Allen. It's really, really well made. It's got clear explanations and it's got very helpful graphic work. All of the classes on Skillshare are curated specifically for learning and they have no ads, which is cool. The first 1,000 people who use the link in my description will receive a 1-month trial to Skillshare Premium so that you can start exploring your creativity right now. So yeah, study, 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 enjoy it, have fun with it. You know what I do? I use a drum machine instead of a metronome. It's got an internal speaker, so I love it. It's great. It goes like this. Etc., etc. That's how I do it. That's how we do it. Next, Jos Moi. What is the next synth that you want to buy? I refuse to pay 12, 13, 14, 15 grand for a Jupiter 8. By the way, this thing, to be honest, this doesn't make me miss that JP8 too much. I dare say it. Yeah, probably I wouldn't go down there if I found a good price on a OB8 or an OBX8 or something like that. I would like to have a good Oberheim because I don't have a good Oberheim. I don't have an Oberheim at all. Next, Otalasi. Oh, hi, Otalasi. I remember you from the Premiere Club. Otalasi asks, question, why does nobody uses vocoder to make music anymore? Yeah, probably autotune is more popular still nowadays. I mean, there's the Daft Punk, they use a lot of vocoder. But you know what, the thing is that online, on YouTube, and independent artists keep on using it a lot. Vocoders, I see Talkbox being used. Oh, Justin Lee Schultz, have you seen him on Talkbox? Talent, man. Yeah, no, I mean, maybe we didn't have like a huge hit lately with vocoder. If any of you can remember a recent vocoder song, just leave it as a comment, because I'm not sure. Next, Tony Lancer asks, question, why did you choose Cubase? Why not Logic, Notator, Marco the Unicorn, Motu, blah blah? I think I've used all of the sequencers and all of the DAWs that you can imagine in my time. I used Logic for like 2-3 years as an in-house producer for a label from London. They used to make techno trance and they used Logic and I had to learn it. But you know, the truth is that they're pretty much all the same. Whoops, I said that. At the end of the day, it's just a host. It's just a program that says, you know this audio file? Yeah, play it now. That's all there is to it. Everything else is just a interface. You gotta choose the one that you like the best. I've been Pro 16 on Commodore 64, then I went Cubase 1 on Atari ST. This was back in the 80s. In 1998, I went Pro Tools because I wanted to record audio. That costed a fortune. And then I've used a lot of Ableton Live to do live things. In 2013, I went back to Cubase because of Dom Cigales. That's his fault. At the time, you know, I had the first studio with multiple computers and more than one person working, so we had to choose like a standard. And inevitably, Dom convinced me to go back to Cubase, and I never looked back. Still use everything today, but Cubase seems to be the one I always go back to. Next, Arctic Penguin asks, I like your channel, Yellow and Giorgio Moroder. Yeah, I've done a Giorgio Moroder track. I've done the bass line of I Feel Love using a TB-303. You can check that out. That video went nuts. I think it's got like over 1 million. Who knows why? You know, I love Giorgio Moroder. Maybe I should one day remake I Feel Love in its entirety. That's a good idea, Arctic Penguin. Thank you. Next! Would you consider producing a big rock record? Big guitars, lots of harmony, vocals, and mustard. We do that. We do it all the time. What you're looking at is a music production company. That's what we do. So we do a lot of rock, and we do a lot of everything. There's everything and the opposite of everything. You should check out the website drmix.com. That's where this whole thing started. And we do online mixing, mastering, and production for artists, labels, and companies all over the world. We are exposed to everything. But yeah, rock is a good part of it. Electronic music is a big part of it. Hip hop. But then, you know, it can be anything, you know, jazz, Christian music, it can be Bhangra, it can be anything. I mean, the Dr. Mix experience is absolutely stunning. I think that we've all in this company have learned more from the orders from Dr. Mix than any other thing that we've done musically in the past. It's absolutely incredible. Dude, you're a bad... You ever done any Pink Floyd I can watch? No? But you know what I was thinking? I was listening to The Dark Side of the Moon again lately, and I started noticing the times that they use jazz chords. That's interesting. There are at least 3 or 4 occasions during the album where they use some definite jazz. I wanted to do this video called The Jazz Side of the Moon, where I show all the jazz parts of that epic album. So yeah, the answer is I want to. All right. What happens if you release a key before its attack reaches its peak? Allow me to demonstrate. Attack. And it's gone. So you have to imagine that the attack, decay, sustain part of the sound only take place when you press the key. So attack goes up, decay comes down, sustain is the level at which it doesn't fall below. You go attack, decay, attack, decay, sustain. And then when I release the key, the sound stops. Now, when I release the key, that's when the release control starts having an effect, because then you can go. Basically, ADS is when you press the key, R is when you release the key. So unless you have R release engaged and you only have an attack, you release before the attack has finished its range, so it will just stop. It won't go all the way up. So that's what happens, Richard Longford. I hope that answered the question. Right, Bart Trzynadlovsky. What are the differences in capabilities of the Jupiter X and Fantom given their shared synthesizer platform? Obviously, the interfaces are completely different, but are all the controls of the Jupiter X exposed in some manner on the Fantom? Yes, they are. So the Fantom is this big, incredible monster synthesizer that can do anything. The engine capabilities of the Fantom are unparalleled. You have to imagine that the Fantom has like 4 CPU designed by Roland, so they are 4 monster computers that are just designed to make sounds. So that level of power is serious. And of course you have big controls, but you also have in-depth menu, and it goes really deep, so you can get a lot out of it. The Jupiter X doesn't have the same amount of features, but what it does brilliantly, because it's designed to be super playable, to be immediate. You know, all of the sounds are immediately available to me, all the controls, you know, chorus and a little bit of reverb right here, maybe close the filter a bit, maybe open a second oscillator, you know, and I can go, you know, second oscillator. Let me open the filter. I can detune it. First, detune it. Different filters, immediately available. You know what I mean? And everything is so immediate. I really love the synthesizer. I'm gonna show you one more thing that this synthesizer does great. So I'm gonna go again for the first sound, which is... Okay, so if you go in the menu, you can then go to System, and here you've got this warm up control. So basically there is a sensor inside of the circuit that measures the temperature of the internal circuits and repeats those idiosyncrasies and mistakes of an original analog machine. So if you take it off, it sounds pretty clean, but if you turn it on, and let me enhance it too. I can enhance it. It goes out of tune. I mean, this is a lot now. This is real, and this is enhanced. But it goes even deeper. I usually keep this real, but check out. You can say how old you want it. So this is brand new. 7 years old, 50 years old, 100 years old. Yeah, I usually keep this at about 4 years old, and it gives me enough. This feels like a JP8, man. If I leave the warm up out, this is like brand new. Which is cool, but then when you turn those on, it goes to maybe a bit less, 4 years old. I don't know how the Roland people do it, but they did it. The Fantom is a beast, and that's what you want to use to do like a full-on production. And the Jupiter X is more like a performance type of machine that you can use, you know, more for session playing and that kind of stuff. I think it's just about what you like, and I like both of them. Oh yes, baby. Neuron Mind. Do you export Midi files from your drum computers to use as Groove templates in your sequencer? It's an awesome feature to have. The feel of your machines in your DAW. That's not exactly how it works. I don't know if that's the way you phrased it. Let me clarify how that works. So These beautiful analog machines from the 70s, 80s are brilliant, and they have a Z80 processor inside of it, which goes at around 1 megahertz, which means it's really primitive. So sometimes it's not super stable. That means that when the drums are played, there may be some delays or some variations in the time that makes the sound even more personal. And that's of course what you don't get with digital systems. Now, that doesn't mean that there are Midi files in here or there is Midi at all in here. And besides, even if you had Midi, then it's down to the way you reproduce it. If I could pull out Midi out of this, the minute that I play it on a computer, it becomes straight again, because it's the bad computer that's inside of it that makes it quirky. What you really want to do, there is a way to do it, and that way is you sample the rhythm and then you analyze it. Cubase has an analyzer. I mean, first you have to line it up, you know, the beginning and the end of the 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, whatever you want to sample, and then you let Cubase analyze. Cubase produces the Midi. Now the Midi is not all quantized because that machine is not completely quantized. So what you do then, you let Cubase analyze that imperfect Midi, then you can use it as quantization pattern for whatever you're using on your song. Yeah? I hope that that clarifies. And by the way, this is the reason why in my 909 package, which I'm gonna leave a link in the description, I have also sampled the shuffles. So you can put the shuffles in and imitate that shuffle, and even that shuffle is not super precise. So there are so many things that you can do once you open that door. It's a rabbit hole, actually. All right, well listen, I'm gonna read the last question. I just want to remind you, please do ask me questions in the comments right here so that next time I know where to look for them. The last question is, where is the link for the Dr. Mix Diabolical 707 sound pack? Too soon? Okay. Thanks for the question, Hoss P63. Are you talking about this? The monstrosity, the Frankenstein? I had to remove the sticker because it was really yellowed out. It was a bit sticky and a bit horrible, so I had to take it out. I've taken out the hair that was on it, but I haven't fully cleaned it yet. I may sample it at some point. Well, you know, if you haven't checked the 808, the Super 808 sample pack that I've done, I'm gonna leave a link in the description for that as well, so that in the meantime you can enjoy that. Actually, you know what I should do? I should produce a track using the Super 808 sample pack, because I haven't done that yet. So, having said this, I am going to finish with some playing. Thank you so much. I think next you should watch this video. I work too much. Dr. Mix, love one another.